Happy Wednesday, everyone. Well, not if you're Whoopi Goldberg, a.k.a. Karen Johnson. Yeah, who knew Whoopi was a Karen? I thought that was only for white people, like Toyota Priuses and skiing. Roll it, Francis.
Good morning and welcome to The View. You all saw the news. Whoopi will be back here in 2 weeks. Okay?
It's so cute when one of their side gets punished. They sulk like they ran out of raw cookie dough in the green room.
Whoopi Goldberg had a full-on meltdown on live TV. And nope, this wasn't just another awkward moment on The View. This was a full-on meltdown, with enough chaos to warrant its own limited series. Cue the sad piano zoom in on her tear-airy side-eye and fade to black. What set it off? Greg Gutfeld, armed with a roast so savage it could have been banned under the Geneva Convention. The man didn't just clap back. He launched a verbal nuke, and Whoopi, she wasn't ready. Her ego didn't just bruise it. Evacuated guns.
She said the Holocaust had nothing to do with race. She said this on a show called The View, which makes everything about race. Except now.
The Holocaust isn't about race. No, it's not about race.
Ethnicity.
It's
about a different race.
But it's not about race. It's not about race.
What is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man.
Yeah, that's heroically stupid. Even for The View.
Poof. This wasn't shade. It was a total eclipse of her credibility. You think reality TV is messy. Nah, this was messier than a Real Housewives reunion inside a tornado with tequila shots. 1 second she's perched up in her leather chair sermonizing like the queen of daytime virtue, and the next boom, she's unraveling like a cheap wig caught in a leaf blower. Greg Gutfeld didn't hold back. The man turned sarcasm into a weapon of mass destruction, flaming through Whoopi's smug takes like a flamethrower in a fireworks. Storther assault, a meltdown so spectacular event oddlers would have said, "Girl, pull it together." But let's not act like this meltdown came out of nowhere. Whoopi's been drifting toward this emotional cliff like it was a luxury cruise she booked months ago. The View, once pitched as a lively round of bold opinions, has straight up morphed into a live-action group chat where 5 glitching virtual assistants argue over who's more morally superior and steering that mess like a tone-deaf orchestra conductor with atombarine. Yep.
Yesterday on The View, otherwise known as Hell's DMV, Whoopi Goldberg asked how much different are the values of the Trump administration from the Taliban.
We have a leader who has repeatedly demeaned women, wants to defund organizations that benefit women, calling on the media to shut up, specifically wants to give preferential treatment based on religion.
Whoopi herself, she somehow thinks that yelling louder than everyone else magically transforms her hot takes into truth, feelings over facts. That's her entire brand. So imagine her shock when Greg Gutfeld, and wearing that smug little smirk and locked and loaded with razor-sharp sarcasm, finally said, "Enough." He clapped back with such precision that it practically shattered the studio lights. Whoopi didn't just get roasted, she got steamrolled. Her response, let's just say, emotionally she folded like a beach chair in a windstorm. We're talking dramatic size. Gasps and that iconic "how dare you" glare like she couldn't believe anyone had the audacity to challenge the daytime queen of condescension. But here's the kicker. This wasn't just a roast. Gutfeld came in like a surgeon. He didn't just roast her, heffilated. Her entire argument set with surgical finesse, slicing through the drama like a 5-star chef working on sashimi. While Whoopi rambled on about her latest cause of the week from the comfort of her echo chamber, Greg exposed her logic for what it really was, full of holes and held together with vibes and volume. School.
Talk about groundbreaking to actually hear a celebrity say something mean about the Taliban. How dare they compare them to Trump? The Taliban should sue. Guess they ran out of Hitler analogies. So as they bash the president, I'm reminded how entertainers rarely express any rage over any strand of misogynist Islamism. If they did, we might take their rage toward Trump seriously. A reminder, the Taliban throw acid in girls' faces for going to school. Yeah, I guess that's like defunding Planned Parenthood. Radical Islam is all for killing gays, and I guess that's the same as making some rude jokes. Note, Trump's past rudeness is a product of a rude culture, one fed and fattened by a coarse entertainment industry.
And when it was time to respond, Whoopi didn't reach for logic. She reached for drama, like always. Flailing, oh, that's her specialty. She's turned emotional grandstanding into an Olympic sport. And her signature move victim mode. The second someone dares to challenge her narrative, she whips out that invisible oppression card from her sleeve like a magician pulling out a dove that screams, "How dare you?" But don't be fooled that this wasn't some raw moment of vulnerability. Nope. This was full-blown performance art scripted in her head, fueled by ego and delivered with the dramatic flair of a stage actress who just realized the spotlight isn't all hers anymore. Now let's hit rewind for a second. The View. That show's no longer about debate. It's a full-blown echo chamber in designer shoes, a petri dish of identical opinions dressed up as discussion, real intellectual diversity, dead on arrival. Each episode feels like 5 talking heads trying to outsmug each other, nodding like bobbleheads, so aggressively they might crack a mare. And Whoopi, she's the ringleader of that circus. She'll spit out a lukewarm take, with the confidence of someone who skimmed a headline at an airport 2 weeks ago, and suddenly thinks she's writing policy. The second someone pushes back against the hive mind boom, they're shouted over, shamed, or subtly ghosted like a guest who accidentally brought facts to a feelings-only party. It's not a talk show anymore. It's a live-action Twitter. Mob broadcast before noon, so when Greg Gutfeld stepped in, even just metaphorically, he wasn't playing games. He lobbed truth bombs into a fortress built entirely out of hurt feelings and half-truths, and it exploded on Q School's.
Canada, apparently they're throwing tariffs on manatee meat and bovine semen, which means The View is very unhappy.
Ooh.
Sausage maker Johnsonville is recalling more than 42,000 pounds of pork sausage for possible contamination with plastic fibers. Fortunately, authorities were able to track all 42,000 pounds to a single location in New York City.
School, Greg Gutfeld didn't come with fireworks. He came with facts, and he pointed out what most viewers already felt in their gut. The self-righteousness on The View is so thick it might as well be listed as a co-host in the credits. And Whoopi, she got caught, mid-mon monologue looking like someone who accidentally wandered into a debate club after mistaking it for a standing ovation. Her face said it all. And first came the glare that royal, "How dare you challenge my throne?" look dripping in disbelief and entitlement. Then came the dramatic sigh, like she was suddenly carrying the burden of all injustice, ever wedged somewhere between her designer brooch and a wildly inflated sense of moral authority. And finally, the grand finale. A meltdown so theatrical, it could have earned a standing ovation. On Broadway, it was a mix of confuse, drambling historical name drops that didn't quite land, and what could only be described as emotional interpretativeness. All performed while trying not to ruin her eyeliner. You could practically hear the backstage. Crew slamming that commercial break button, praying for mercy from the chaos. But here's the kicker. Gutfeld didn't even break a sweat. He wasn't ranting, he wasn't rude, he just held up a mirror. And what that mirror reflected brutal, it exposed a show running. On fumes and fake outrage. A host who thinks yelling equals winning. And addable of panelists so allergic to real dissent, they'd probably need a medic. If someone quoted a conservative without eye-trigger warnings.
Their brains are small. But who's the dumbest one of all? True, none of them are in Mensa, but who's the most densa? Perhaps it's Sonny who mastered the art of making idiots look smart. Now, The View could ask a mirror who's the dumbest one of all, but there's no way that glass doesn't shatter. So instead, let's check out this clip from Monday's episode of The View when the ladies put their science caps on and discuss the solar eclipse.
Gutfeld didn't just humiliate Whoopi. He exposed the whole charade with every line dipped in sarcasm and satire. He sliced through The View's thick cloud of self-importance like it was cheap air freshener in a broken elevator. And while scrambled for a comeback, her co-hosts kicked into damage control mode, nodding like backup dancers, in an AOC-themed musical nobody asked for. Now let's talk about them for a second, because this wasn't a one-woman spiral. This was asynchronized crash landing. The second Whoopi started flailing, the rest of that table leaned in with forced concern and faces that said, "We did not rehearse for this." Joy Behar looked like someone just explained basic physics to her for the first time, and Sunny Hostin unleashed a stream of buzzwords so jumbled it made a thesaurus file for early retirement. They launched into full defensive formation circle. The wagons mode activated. Suddenly the whole convo turned into an emotional group, hug disguised as a talk show. Accountability never heard of her. It wasn't a roast, they claimed. It was an attack on all women, all hosts, and maybe even anyone who's ever cried into a live, laugh, love coffee mug school.
Cicadas.
Although I love
for the first time in like
No,
100 years,
no.
for the first time in many, many years.
No,
And so-
every 17 years this happens.
Well, that's not what I read, but maybe, you know, maybe you know better. All those things together would maybe lead one to believe that, you know, either climate change exists
That's more
or
the
something
point.
is really going on.
returning.
Earthquakes are not at the mercy of climate change. It's underground. It can't, I don't think that's...
It happens, and the eclipse, they've known about the eclipse coming because eclipses happen, and they actually can say when these things are going to happen.
Amazing. Wow. That's not what I read. The true sign of the apocalypse is someone that dumb has a law degree. Worse, if your name has the word sun in it, there's no excuse for not knowing how an eclipse works. But it's no surprise that Joy is the one who understands science. She's been on the science diet for years.
School, but the viewers. They weren't buying that victim narrative for 1 second. Outside that studio bubble, the internet exploded. It lit up like a Christmas tree, managed by a sleep-deprived elf on a Red Bull binge. Memes flew. Reaction videos piled in TikToks dropped like confetti when it was a full-blown viral roast fest. And The View, they were the main course. Whoopi's meltdown,